The views and opinions expressed on this podcast is solely of the creator, host, co-host, and guest, and may not necessarily reflect the views, thoughts, or opinions of the listener or viewer. Viewer discretion and listener discretion is advised. In the darkest recesses of human understanding, a realm malevolent entities lurk, shrouded in mystery and terror. Demons, those ancient beings of darkness, have captivated our imagination and fueled our deepest fears. Tonight, we delve into the forbidden world of demonology, exploring histories, mythologies, and horrors surrounding these malevolent spirits. From ancient civilization to modern encounters, we'll examine the symbolism, rituals, and haunting tales associated with demons. Can we unravel the truth behind these dark forces? Join me, your host tonight, Melanie, and we have a special guest with us, and we're going to bring her in just a few minutes. Hey guys, welcome to Explain Strange podcast. I'm your host, Melanie, and today's guest is Sister Savannah. Sister Savannah.
Hi there, guys. Hello.
Hey. So what do you do?
So I am a part of the Solomonic Order of Saint Michael the Archangel. I am a sister as a part of that order, and we help with demonic cases. We do it as a case-by-case basis. I was introduced to the order by the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research. So that's kind of my field, so to speak. I got my start doing readings in little stops here and there, and discovered that I had this sensitivity to things that you can't really see. And I grew up with a dad that was in the Army, so that military sense of serve and just do the best that you can to be useful. So I saw an opportunity to really be able to plug myself in and help people through this.
And what kind of cases have you encountered that you have helped people?
To be honest, most of the time, the cases that we get have mental illness factors as well as untreated diagnoses. We really connect people to the help that they need, whether or not they're afflicted or truly just suffering in life. We get them plugged in as well, so it's not just a smoke and mirrors sort of thing. We're actually out there helping people get the resources that they need. Sometimes my ministry specifically is in substance abuse and counseling. So whenever someone comes to me thinking that they are being tortured by, a demon, sometimes it's the demons inside their head that are hurting them the most. And it's my job. Yeah, it's my job to make sure that these people are seen, heard, valued, and properly taken care of.
I love that. That's a beautiful thing, because I know with like some past possession type stories that I've heard, it's that they have some mental illnesses that weren't addressed, and the church just came in and kind of took care of it their way. So I'm glad that you're helping people get the resources they need. Now, are there circumstances where it is a paranormal entity afflicting someone?
Yes. I can't go into case specifics, but there was this one young lady who, whenever we did our calls with her, she responded to religious provocation. So that is either saying a prayer from the Bible or holding the Word of God or holding a rosary, just any sort of religious holy object in front of the person to see if there's an adverse reaction. And there was. She was 19, I believe, and her room, I remember seeing it, it was visibly dark. Like there was some light penetrating through, but it just had that feeling of, oh, something's not supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we counseled her through, the stages of demonic activity. You have oppression, you have possession, you have obsession. And this woman, she was obsessed. She was looking into every sort of literature. She claimed that the start was a haunted doll that she had to send over to Zach Baggins and the Ghost Adventures crew. So that is what she feels inspired this negative entity attachment. And I felt it as well. My spidey senses were going off like crazy. But we got her on the path to salvation. We got her baptized through our order. We got her taking steps towards pursuing the light and seeing the light and restoring the hope and the faith in this woman. And she did a 180. 180. And it quite surprised me. We prayed deliverance prayers over her. We had our Father Torres, who is going to be joining me, but he had some prior obligations, being Sunday and all.
Yeah.
He went to see her after I urged him, there's something about this woman that I feel like we can make a really big impact in her life. So he took that, went to spend time with her, quality time, and just building the bricks of the foundation from there. It was really a beautiful case. It was one that I felt there was something serious there, but we overcame it.
How do you distinguish between a regular paranormal haunting and something a little bit more darker?
Well, that is an excellent question. So typically whenever people are getting scratched, whenever they are showing up in threes, when you hear like knocking like 1, 2, 3, it's a mocking of the Trinity. And whenever religious provocation inspires adverse effects such as speaking in tongues, such as just someone getting visibly nervous and uncomfortable and turning red in the face, just like any physical sort of reaction indicates that there has been boundaries breached and that the entity is of no good. Regular paranormal, like how can you tell the difference between a demon and grandma coming to say hi in the middle of the night? Typically it's this clairsentient feeling. Clairsentience means clear feeling in the paranormal world. So that clairsentient feeling of, okay, this is weird, that might just be a relative passing through. But if you're hearing thoughts in your head of hurting yourself or someone else, that breaches boundaries. Once you know some entity has breached a boundary in a negative way, treat it as such. That's a good rule of thumb that I go by. And you never want to give an entity too much power through fear or through trying to identify it. You treat it as though it is a bottom feeder, because that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good answer. I love that. Now, cultural representation. Like, a lot of people say rock and roll's the devil's music. What do you feel about, like, art representing something that people false idolize? Is that, like, a bad thing for people to be idolizing things that they probably shouldn't, but it's just a part of entertainment? Or is it?
I think it's like a gateway drug. You know how people say that marijuana and alcohol are gateway drugs? I believe the very same thing about what we feed our eyes on, because our eyes are the window to the soul, and what we are visibly putting into our body via the channels of light, being our eyes, I think it really does have an effect. Whether it softens our resolve, whether it turns us a little bit further away from what God would intend, I'll say. I think God has patience for everyone who tries. I think God is gracious, but I also think that there's some things that He thinks are burdens to us, that hold us back from our true potential. Now, I'm not saying like worship music is the 100% way to go. I love my lo-fi. I love my music that is just super chill. Any music that soothes your soul rather than vents your soul, I think is good, because people use like rock music to vent. I know I've used Deftones when I'm in a mood,
Oh, same.
So
Same.
yeah. So I'm not beyond that. Like, I'm saying that the music that really speaks to you is meant to speak to you, because God uses people to show us signs and synchronicities, and just to show us that He's there and that He hears us. Music
Yeah.
is one of those gateways, you know? Like, I'll hear a certain song that I know is sent from God because my grandfather, he wrote sermons, and he loved Creedence Clearwater Revival. And every time I hear one of those Creedence Clearwater songs, I smile so big because I know that's my granddaddy. And that
Yeah.
I believe God sends people that have passed away on assignments to help us. And my granddaddy is currently on an assignment to help me and my family with some overarching living problems, you know. But whenever I hear one of those songs or I see a Chevy Silverado in traffic, I know without a shadow of a doubt that's him.
Oh, I love
So
that.
really, yeah, so that's like spirits will use our internal database and our internal language to formulate the signs and synchronicities that they show us. So if you know that that truck is there for a reason, then yeah, it definitely is. That's how you can tell the difference between a good spirit and a negative spirit. Those that guide you, those that make you feel seen, heard, loved, and appreciated. Like, hey, I'm looking out for you, kiddo. Those types of spirits.
That's awesome. Now, modern interpretations of demonology, like you
Hmm.
said, you had like a little shop and you was doing like, would you do like tarot readings or was you like a
Yeah,
medium? What does
yeah.
that portray in with what you do now? How do those kind of worlds collide?
They collide through the Warren Legacy Foundation. That is my current avenue that I embrace all sorts of denominations, pantheons as coworkers. You know, so having that common fundamental language to speak with them, to interpretate the will of God, to interpretate the will of spirit, you know, I think is a beautiful thing. I don't advise against it. I do caution people that it can be a gateway. Using tarot cards, using Ouija boards, that improperly used can lead to
Hmm.
some definite negative attachments. But in the hands of someone that's trained, that's a professional, that does this day in and day out, you know, I come across many of those individuals. And I find that we come to common consensus on several of our spidey senses, so to speak. We just use different tools. For me, I've learned to tap into myself rather than using material things now. I will admit, tarot was a great introduction on interpreting signs from spirits. But now that I've learned the language, it's kind of like learning Spanish, you know? You learn to trust yourself and lean in a little bit more, whereas you would have reserved yourself or had some doubt creep in. You just go with what you're seeing, hearing, feeling in your mind's eye. So tarot definitely gave me a solid foundation to what I do now. Um, as someone as a part of the order, you know, when I have a client that uses tarot cards, I do caution them and I do say, hey, let's put it down while we're trying to solve this problem, you know, because this is not helping. If anything, it's freaking you out more, and we need to get
Hmm.
rid of all influences that are leaving open doors. Because when you're using it, you're opening a door to receive a response. And when we're trying to understand, discern, and contact spirit, that's ultimately what we're trying to do. But when someone is already afflicted, they don't need to draw in even more energy. So it is a conduit, for sure. And
Yeah,
do I continue to do
absolutely.
tarot? Oh, yeah. Do I continue to do tarot? Only on special occasions, I will admit.
Hmm.
You know, and that I've taken to confession, I promise you. But it's something to introduce mediums into the art of mediumship. It is a fantastic tool.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
does it,
It's definitely a fantastic tool.
yeah. I mean, I believe God gives us tools to do the good work that we all have been sent here to do. You know, just to love each other, to be a part of life, to understand the lessons of people that love us and that continue to love us even from beyond the grave. You know, I believe God makes grace for that.
I agree. Okay.
Especially when the love is so strong. I believe that
Yeah.
I believe it transcends time. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I definitely do. Now, you said you were like a medium, did
Yes.
you say like a psychic medium?
Yes,
What kind
ma'am.
of psychic medium are you? Because I know there's like different kinds, like some like see things, some like I'm not
Yeah.
really. I mean, I've developed some powers of my own from
Yeah.
some psychedelic experiences I've had in the past, and
Yeah.
I thought once I was in purgatory and I was trapped there during a really
Oh
bad
no.
trip.
Oh no,
And then I
friend.
stopped ghost hunting because I was like, okay, I know where the ghosts live now. I don't need to ghost hunt no more. So I stopped
Yeah.
doing all that. And I got really scared of death itself because I didn't want to end
Yeah.
up where I thought I was. So
Yeah.
after that, like when friends of mine dies from overdoses,
Yeah.
I have a strong sense that their spirit is talking to me a lot. And
Oh
sometimes I'll
yeah.
even see them out the corner of my eye. Is that the kind of psychic medium that you are? Because like this is all too new to me.
Yes. Yes, I see things out of the corner of my eye even still. When I am walking around in the dark and I fixate on a certain spot where I feel the energy is really dense, I'll see an outline. I can hear. That's my strongest sense is I'm a clear hearer, a clairaudient. I
Oh,
am also I'm clairvoyant, so I can see the outlines, I can see the shadows, I can see the details here and there. It depends on what they really want to show and how comfortable they are in communicating with me. Depends on what they show me and what they withhold. Because spirits, they can be shy, you know. But I can also feel them, the clairsentient, that gut feeling. I can
mhm.
feel when there's someone around me. I recently did a paranormal investigation with a big group here in Denton, Texas, at Goatman's Bridge, Old Alton Bridge. That yielded some very interesting results. We did
Yeah,
we did the flashlight experiment where you get a mag light, the twisty kind, and you
yeah.
turn it on. Yeah, you turn it on, and I have video evidence of those flashlights responding on cue to questions. Um, and it was just this whole frenzy of a phenomenon that was so incredible. So yeah, it was very it reassured me to know that, hey, I'm not crazy and I'm actually seeing
Mhm.
this with my own eyes in a material way,
Yeah.
not just relying on myself. But it was so cool. So I still do the ghost hunts. Sometimes I go by myself, sometimes I rope a friend in or two, and I've begun compiling all of my paranormal equipment just to, be able to prove to people that yes, there are spirits and yes, they do have a purpose as well, such as we do. Now, do we know all the answers? No. That's why we research. That's why we are paranormal researchers. Um, to find more gaps to bridge the truth together. And as a medium, what really led to my conversion to Christianity was my gifts that God gave me. He showed me his voice. I heard it. And I remember the first time I heard it, I cried. I thought, wow, this is what I've been listening for my whole life. And now I feel like I'm in a steady position to really foster this relationship and this connection. And it was a beautiful moment. I'll never forget it. But it really restored me in so many ways, being able to hear, see, and feel these things. It's part of my calling in life is to use this to serve and to be useful, like I said, like my dad taught me.
Now going back to that Goatman's Bridge that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
what do you think Goatman Bridge, like what is Goatman? Like is he a cryptid or is he an interdimensional being?
He is he is a human spirit that has kind of eroded into a half animal, half man spirit. He is a gatekeeper of the bridge.
Interesting.
I saw him. I saw the outline of the horns on his head. So he is a cryptid. So to answer your question, he's a cryptid spirit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, sometimes when spirits are still out where they died, they will evolve into something amphibious. That's the best word I
Mhm.
can use to describe that type of evolution as a spirit. But he was a gatekeeper, and there is an inhuman spirit there who called himself Papa. There's a lot of children spirits there, and Papa looks after the children. He's kind of like a collector of the children. So you will encounter little mischievous child spirits there. I have to say, the human Ouija board, which is right across the road from the bridge, it is this pavement where a house once stood, and someone spray painted the Ouija board text onto it. When I went there last, there was an actual Ouija board there with a beer that still had the carbonation popping. So we crept up on somebody, but I got high levels of ENF. I got spirit box voices. I got one EVP of really, it sounded like a hot breath. When I was there on that pavement, I'll tell you, friend, the temperature dropped like 20 degrees and I could see my breath outside, and it's 80 degrees outside. Yeah. There was another
That's
group at the bridge.
terrifying.
Yes. So that felt inhuman. And the spirits that I felt were coming through this portal, because it's an active portal. Whenever you conjure like that and you have candles and you have somebody under the influence of alcohol or drugs and trying to reach out to the other side, not so nice things come through. And I felt that the spirits there they were contorted, and I felt like they were, just like, those spirits that move like that. I'm sure.
Yeah, I can picture it.
Yeah, just what's a good word to describe it? Lanky and disjointed movements.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah. That's what I was feeling in my gut, and that's what I was seeing in my mind's eye. Whenever I would catch the glimpses, they would be very stick figure type movements.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always on all fours. So it was very, very heavy. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I continue to bring groups there just to show that if you are looking for something, you will find it. But I always do proper cleansings and blessings and prayers before and after I go, such as when dealing with inhuman or demonic things, you want to make sure that you are clothed in the protection.
That was going to be my next question. How do you protect yourself out there with them creepy crawlies?
My go-to is holy oil, holy water. I bring a copy of the Mass, the Catholic Mass, with me, because that's literally Jesus' story from the Last Supper all the way to the resurrection. So showing that there is the way, the truth, and the life present with me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Right.
Doesn't say that they won't form, but will they prosper? No, not on my watch.
Wow.
But really arming myself with the words of God lets me remind these things where their place truly lies.
Wow. And since you're a paranormal investigator, what's your favorite piece of paranormal equipment when you're out there in the field investigating?
Oh, I love my cat balls. They're little motion sensors. I love my cat balls. I love my spirit box because it is so interesting to hear vocal tone and to hear these voices come through. I had my little ofrenda set up for Day of the Dead for my family and my grandparents. And I put that spirit box next to them, and I heard a voice through, it was a woman, it was my grandmother, and it sounded just like her, and I thought, oh, thank you for stopping by, thank you for coming, and, I was just so grateful. So spirit box, cat balls, and the mag light. I love the flashlight experiment. It is one of the most easiest experiments for spirits to interpret and to adjust. So I'm all about easy communication, such as in life relationships. That's how I prefer them, afterlife relationships. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been noticing when I'm out there in the field, they've been using my laser grids kind of like the mag lights. And I think that's really interesting because those things will go like completely dead quickly. So then you like barely screw it on after you charged it, and they use it like the mag light, and it's really easy for them. I agree. The easier, the better for them.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that demons can manifest through technology? Like if we're out there using these spirit boxes and these tools, do you think they're attracted to that type of thing and they can portray themselves as like a child per se, like a little kid ghost?
Oh, 100%. That's where the art of discernment comes in. Really trusting yourself and knowing what you're feeling and sensing and seeing on top of what evidence is being already collected. It doesn't conjure so to speak. Like, it doesn't draw things through the technology, it just attracts what's already there, and that does leave you liable for an attachment. Sometimes spirits will follow you home. That's where you have to learn how to set proper boundaries with protections. One of my favorite tools to use around the house to sprinkle is camphor, because it is a wellness remedy, and negative spirits cannot stand camphor. So just really sprinkling that around your doorways, in the corners of your house, in your kids' rooms, making sure to get an even sprinkling of camphor, salt, things of that nature.
Yeah,
That's how
that's
you
some good
set,
advice.
yeah, that's how you set proper boundaries against these things that will try to violate your own boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what they like to do, is violate boundaries.
Well, if they have something to say, they will do well, I was going to say the D word, but they will do their best to make sure that they will get that message in your ear.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this one time, I went to this cemetery to do some EVP sessions, and a spirit followed me home, and it was this man. He had white hair, kind of wispy, and his face was ash gray, and he was wearing tattered clothes and some suspenders. He was not happy that I was there, and he wanted to let me know. So he followed me home, and I heard a man yell in the middle of the night, and it woke me up, and I thought, oh my. So I got up, and I saw him in the hallway, and he had his mouth all the way, like, just almost like a snake, how you can sever the jaw. His scream went down further than it should have. But he wanted to let me know he was not happy about me being there, and that I was not welcome back, and I have not been back since, out of respect for that man.
Yeah, he had to let you know in some sort of way, don't come back.
Yeah, no, he blew out my speaker in my car. I have yet to replace it. He screamed so loud. Because not only did he scream in the car next to me, he followed me home and woke me up and screamed.
Wow.
Yeah. My husband asked me, what happened to the speaker? Did you turn it up all the way? I said, no, baby. See, what happened was, and then I told him the story. So he's a believer. Going through this journey with me, from doing cards in the shops to doing what I do as a sister in the order. He's seen my transformation. He was like, this, you can't even come up with this in a book, So there's got to be something to it. And I'm like, yes, stick around with me and you can find out.
Would you consider writing a book, like maybe in the future?
If there is enough interest and it really helps people, I would love to.
Yeah.
I try to keep journals, and I think that's a good start.
Definitely. Now, for the folks out here that listen to the show and don't know who Ed and Lorraine Warren is, can you kind of explain who they are and what their foundation's about?
Okay, absolutely. Ed and Lorraine are angels, first off. Second, they are paranormal researchers. They kicked around up in New England back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They are the inspiration behind the Conjuring movies, behind the Annabelle movies, behind the Nun series. All those horror flicks that are coming out are based on them and their work. Lorraine was a devout Catholic. Her favorite smell is lavender, and she loves lilacs. I talk to her grandson often. He's a great guy continuing her work. They came up with this foundation together in order to reach out to people and continue doing what Ed and Lorraine set out to do in the beginning. But they are very big figures in the paranormal world. I owe them a debt of gratitude for being the pioneers of paranormal research. They have definitely been inspiring in my own journey, as well as the journey of so many other people that I've met through this foundation. It's a worldwide thing now, not just in New England, but I could dote on them all day if you let me. They're great people. They were. I'll say they both passed on now.
Yeah. So have you got to go to like their little museum and got to see the Annabelle doll herself?
No, that is a bucket list item of mine. I want to get with Chris, their grandson, and coordinate a visit one of these days as maybe an anniversary getaway for me and my husband. How about we go see the haunted
Yeah.
doll? Yeah, babe, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. It's good. I love that your husband is like your little sidekick and supports you. That's so beautiful.
He's my ad. He's my ad.
Yeah. Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I had a question for you, but it done left my mind. Oh, the myth where if you say the demon's name, it's bad. Like you're not supposed to say the demon's name. Is that a true thing?
If the person afflicted says the name, it means that it is dominating the person. But when the clergy understands its name and uses it to banish, using it in a rite, the demon will react in what our view is a positive way, but the demon will suffer when we use it in such a holy manner. Now, if someone goes around and says Bloody Mary, so on and so forth, that's asking for trouble. If you're not using it in a proper fashion, names do carry a lot of weight and a lot of power. So I can see why there's a little bit of a dichotomy between the two. Using the name to bring light to it through the power of prayer and the power of God's word, I think has power to cast it out. That when a person that is possessed says the name, the thing has power over them, and it's pretending to have a person with that name. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you
Kind of
cleared
like
that up
say,
because a lot of people think it's like a myth. Like, you're not supposed to say no demon's name or you're going to get possessed. I'm glad you cleared that up, like you
yeah,
have.
yeah. Definitely don't go around looking through the Goetia and trying to find demons' names and have them do whatever. One of the biggest traps that I see people fall into that dabble is they assume that demons will serve them and not expect anything in return. As like the foot soldiers, because there's hierarchies of angels. There's also hierarchies of demons, and what dabblers, I call them dabblers, people that dabble in the dark arts, what they will do is they will conjure a low-level demon and have it be a servant to carry out just misfortune or ill will towards whatever target that they have at the time. I've seen evidence of this at Goatman's Bridge. Under the bridge, I saw a black pentagram with some markings, some sigils that I recognized to be satanic. So whenever you are calling on these low-level entities to serve you, you are already trapped. They assume that because of their low rank, they have no power to seek retribution for or payment or do just payment for the services that they provide. That's where people fall into, oh, I'm cursed, or oh, I have grandkids that are going to get cursed because of my dabblings. That's just calling on a demon's name like that versus calling on the demon's name, trying to exorcise it. Two different things.
Wow.
I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but yeah, that was one of my observations. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you ever get scared when you're out there in the field and you come across these things that you see in your mind and you see it physically? Are you ever terrified?
All the time. I'm not going to lie to you. But courage is not the absence of fear, but the overcoming of it. So I like to think of myself as courageous, as brave, for even considering this basket case of a career that I've considered. Because it is a full basket of so many different fruits and so many different things. And I carry it all the time. And, whenever I'm out there in the field and I am scared in the middle of the dark, I'm like, okay, I got to remember who's with me. And that brings me a lot of comfort. It really does. Because as a medium, knowing that there is a higher power and knowing that it is full of love and benevolence and light and good and, what we call God, knowing that that's who's got my back gives me all the courage that I need to do what I do.
Yeah. You are doing God's work out there for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
And now, do you have any advice for anybody out there that's going through it with maybe they think they're, getting an oppression or they're just feeling down and out? Do you have any advice for them to bring it back to the light?
Absolutely. My door is always open. My ministry is in substance abuse counseling, but when it comes to depression, anxiety, to feeling like you're on the border of something negative, please reach out to me. My name is Sister Savannah Romero. I can give you a link to contact me, to contact the order. If you feel like you need spiritual reinforcement, spiritual guidance, spiritual counseling, even like, where do I go from here? I got you. I would love to help. That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
But
definitely send us that link, and we'll put it in the
yeah,
description of the yeah.
for sure. Other than that, get some sunshine on your face every day. To the best of your ability, practice gratitude. Look around at your loved ones, your fur babies, your baby babies. Look around at the blessings that you have around you, and just remember that imposter syndrome has no place. You are worthy of all of this. You are far more than enough. And if you can remind yourself to have that little bit of hope, that's a key ingredient in faith, my friend, is hope. So really, it starts in gratitude. That's the seed of faith, is gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how
I
you
agree.
start.
Gratitude.
For sure.
For sure. Now, is there anything else that you wanted to add to our conversation today? Because we're going to start wrapping it up.
I feel like I have just gone on, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for allowing me to tell my story, and thank you for meeting on a Sunday. I feel like this
Yeah.
is a good, like, this was meant to happen,
I
and I
agree.
think
I was going to say the same thing. I was like, this conversation was supposed to happen for sure.
I feel it. I feel it. And, thank God for you and your interest and on your journey as well. May He guide you. May He continue your passion and your drive and your abilities to, share with the world, man. God gives us these gifts, and it's taken me many years to understand why. But it's really to embody what He's all about. The love, the passion, the connection. I've always been a good connector of things. I've connected two sides of a disjointed family, my own family, together. And I found my talent as a bridge to be a fundamental part of my calling as well. So, just don't ever underestimate the power of a bridge for you. Knowing that you have the gift, don't let it be overcome by fear. It'll be all right, friend. If and
Thank
when you get back
you.
out, yeah, if and when you get back out there, I think it's going to go well. And may it feed you, may it nourish you, may it, give you that satisfaction that all of us as ghost hunters hope to achieve. I know it's not for the faint of heart, but, you strike me as the person that could do it, like the one for the
Oh,
job.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Sister Savannah, I enjoyed this conversation so much, and I can't wait for us to share it with the world out there. Is there anything else that
absolutely.
you want to add to this conversation before we say goodbye?
Not necessarily. I just want to thank everybody who tuned in to our conversation, and to thank you and the producers and everyone that fostered this connection. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, you want to stay for the outro?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right. Thanks for joining us on Explain Strange podcast. The strange is out there, and we're here to question it all. Join us next time for more unexplained mysteries and unsettling phenomena. Catch you in the podcast. Stay spooky, everybody.